Top of the morning, dear. Alright, so we're going to be going through a CRUD system, which is a create, update, delete. And this system that we're going to do is, you would have assumedly designed your class diagrams. Now you've come up with your structure. In my case, I'm going to be doing it on those notes, the object-oriented programming notes. So you'll see I have a library class, with a pupil class, log class, and a book class. Just to keep track of library information. We can ignore DVD, and that's not going to be gone through in here. And we're just going to go through how to read information from the database and add it into the array, and then obviously to add stuff to the database, etc. This is step one. Step one is just the literal reading of it. Prior to this video, you should have watched how to connect to the database. So using You Can Access, that was a video that came a bit earlier. On how to connect to the database. Now this is how to read from information from it, step one. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is inside your project folder you will have your physical database. Now you can choose to put another location, but in the case of my pupils, when you're going to submit it, you need to have the database within it, so it'll also work in my case. And when it comes to the connection string, that will change slightly if you were going to be doing it through a direct path or channel, things like that. Okay, so you've got the database inside the location that you were wanting. So your database needs to be there. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to copy across the storage manager class that I've got a link to in the video at the bottom somewhere there. There'll be a link to that file. And then this storage manager class is a class that I coded that will allow you to connect to the database. But you can just copy and paste it directly through to your working code or working class inside your project, inside your source folder. So inside your project folder, inside your source folder, inside whichever package you want, inside there, you would then paste it into here. And then you'll notice in NetBeans, it'll pop up there. We've got a storage manager class, and there it's there to use. I'm not going to go into details of the storage manager class here, because this was dealt with in the other video. The only thing that I would briefly mention is that this query method and this update method retrieves an SQL string, will create a statement based on that, execute that statement, and then return the result set. Or in the case of an update, return what is done. Another interesting one is the update return ID, which would return automatically generated unique identifying number if your table has that field. Okay, so now inside my library manager class, now you would have gone and you would have designed all your classes. You'll see here I've got the book class, I've got the log class, etc. And this is exactly how I drew up my class diagrams. It's got the fields that I wanted there. It's got, like, my book has my title and author as per my class diagrams here. So literally, as my class diagrams, as I'd planned them out here, I did them there. If anything, I simplified it to not have to deal with date, because date was dealt with in another video. And here, similar thing, I didn't work with genre. Okay, so I've really just created each of the entity classes and the manager class. Now here is where it gets where the storage comes into it and the using of the storage manager. You'll notice there that I've created an instance of my storage manager and I've called it SMan. And in my constructor of my storage of my manager class, you'll notice there that I've created initialize it. Now when you do initialize it, it's going to give you a red underline. And the reason why it gives you red underline is because it hasn't thrown the exception. Now realize even when you throw the first exception, it will still give you a red underline. The reason why is it throws two separate types of expressions. I suggest keep on throwing it and handle it when you can also give a user a feedback on it. So you'll notice I'll handle it inside my user interface when we come to that step of this video. So step one, copy and paste your storage manager class across to here. Step two, go ahead and create in your managing class, create and declare an instance of your storage manager. And then now the next step would be actually to populate your arrays. Now remember, you've already watched that video, so your library should have already been imported for your You Can Access, and you've got that working. Now, to add or to populate the books, the first thing you do is you would come up with your SQL statement. So you would say what information you want to select, title, author from book. Now, in certain situations, depending on how you've designed your program, you would potentially want to put a where here. And you would only want to, once the user logs on, you would only want to lose data relevant to that person, for example, or that user. You don't always want to, here I'm just loading every single book and every single pupil and every single log entry. Whereas potentially you would only want to load relevant data, and potentially for log, I could only log data that outstanding books or whatever it might be. So that's quite important there, is you might have a where condition there, or your SQL statement might look slightly different. The next thing that you're looking at is you then create a result set. Now remember, you would need to import this, so you need to go Control Spacebar on your result set, and then you would import it to here. You would import your result set. Result is equal to sqman.query. So it will run the query. Again, this will give you a red line because it will throw an exception. Continue throwing it, handle inside your user interface. That is the recommended way of doing it. So you run this query, and you'll see this query is just, in inverted commas, it's just a string, and it will run it. Now you'll notice here, I've actually I also put it inside a Trycatch, and the reason why I did was just so I could add the SQL statement at the end of the message. So literally, if I catch the exception, I throw a new exception. So literally, I take the exception, I add a bit of information to it, and I throw it on. That's literally all I'm doing, is I'm taking the exception and I'm throwing it on. There. I'm going to remove that for the simplicity of this. This was just in a program it would make your life easier, because then you could copy and paste this SQL statement and directly look at the SQL statement, whereas the message sometimes isn't that clear. So this helps you work with it throwing another exception. But for the idea of keeping it simpler, I'm just going to throw it at a later stage. But yeah, that is really your choice if you would want to do that, to modify the string to work with that there. Oops, wrong button. Alt-Shift-F. Yeah, there we go. Alright. And same thing with the pupils. You select the data and you add it to the array. So literally I get the information from, you'll notice there, to get the title, I'll say result.getString title. Slight different things, for example, in my pupil one, if you want to get an int, you would have to go get int for your result set. So when you work through the result, the code is there for you to look at. I think this is enough of a video to get this part. Step 2, we'll go through now more details, how to separate this information out, how to add it into your lists, that kind of thing. But you see, I'm literally just initializing the arrays that I've set out. So my book array, my pupils array, my logs array, all of those I'm just initializing inside this class. And you'll notice there that each of that happens with that. Okay, I hope this video has helped. I had to re-record this because my class was a bit miserable when you were recording the first time, so I hope this one's better. Goodbye.